Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially 5 weeks into the college football season, so we have some context to these teams, and I wanted to go through an early look at possible bowl projections here, maybe right around midseason, a little bit before then, and then I'll probably do an update video maybe about a month from now with like 3 weeks left. So I just wanted to look where we stand right now. None of this is official. There's going to be a lot of teams that lose games, and we're just going to go through this and kind of see potential matchups in terms of the bowl predictions. This was posted after the Week 5 results. So this is through 5 weeks, the bowl predictions. The first game, the Bahamas Bowl, we of course know that's always the first game of the bowl season. Western Kentucky versus Eastern Michigan. I got to be honest, I love Western Kentucky in that matchup. Eastern Michigan last week, nearly had that crazy loss where they were 20-point favorites, I believe, against UMass. They ended up coming back and winning, but Western Kentucky, I think, would be 2 touchdown favorites in that matchup. Marshall versus Liberty in the Cure Bowl. I like Liberty. I know people are going to say with Marshall, they beat Notre Dame. Marshall really hasn't been good recently. They had that game against Bowling Green. Liberty is a good team. They almost beat Wake Forest. I like Liberty. The Fenway Bowl, Michigan State versus Memphis. Oh my goodness, you hate to see that. You hate to see it for Michigan State. I do think Michigan State will make a bowl. They're 2-3 right now. They're about to be 2-4. But I still think they'll probably go 6-6 looking at their schedule unless they lose to like Rutgers or Indiana or someone like that. Them versus Memphis has not been good recently at all. Memphis almost lost to Temple. But I'd probably take MSU in that matchup to win that game. Wyoming versus North Texas in the New Mexico Bowl. The battle for New Mexico. I like Wyoming football. I like North Texas. I think North Texas scores enough and beats Wyoming. That's a fun matchup. We've got the LA Bowl. Don't they call this like the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl or something? Oregon State, Air Force. That's a fun matchup. Air Force was a preseason darling. Unfortunately, I believe they lost to Wyoming. They were getting some like top 25 buzz in the preseason. I remember that. Oregon State's been good this year. They have major turnover issues, though. They just, all those interceptions against Utah and things like that. I would probably take Air Force in that matchup. Kent State versus Troy. Guys, Troy is a good team. Troy just beat Western Kentucky, I believe. Kent State, they score a lot, but I'd probably take Troy. The Lending Tree Bowl, the Dollar General. Las Vegas Bowl. Oregon versus LSU. So that almost seems like it would be a step down for Oregon. It looks like they think Oregon is going to lose a few games here because there are Oregon fans that are saying they're going to the Rose Bowl, they're going to a New Year's Six Bowl. This would be a step down. LSU, I think this is exactly where LSU is going to end up. LSU is going to end up with 4 or 5 losses. I would probably pick Oregon to win that game. SMU versus UNLV. Oh my goodness. SMU just got crushed by UCF. UNLV is I don't even know if UNLV is going to make a bowl game. I would go with SMU in that matchup. Middle Tennessee State versus Louisiana. Remember when Louisiana was ranked last year? Or were they ranked? They were like close or something. And then everyone thought they were going to beat Texas. But I would take Middle Tennessee. We remember Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee beat Miami and very easily. Middle Tennessee they're a decent team. Toledo versus San Jose State. Toledo, personally, I think Toledo is the best team in the MAC. Now it's hard to judge the MAC because it's always a mosh pit. But Toledo's offense is good. San Jose State's been good recently. They just had a really impressive performance against Wyoming. I would take Toledo to win that game. I respect the MAC, but San Jose State has an amazing football culture. So that'd be a great game. App State versus UCF. I'll take UCF. That'd be a fun little bowl game there. Boca Raton Bowl, the New Orleans Bowl, UAB versus South Alabama. Guys, South Alabama is underrated, but I'll take UAB. I'll take UAB in that matchup. UAB was getting hype. Everyone thought UAB possibly could go undefeated in the preseason. They've struggled. I believe they're 2-2 right now, but they turn it around and they would win that game. Texas Tech versus BYU, the Armed Forces Bowl. Texas Tech, Texas Tech is not a bad team. BYU, in my opinion, is a little overrated right now, considering they're ranked 16. I would take BYU, though. I respect BYU football. Army versus Tulane. Oh, give me Tulane. Army is 1-3 right now. They think Army's going to make a bowl? Houston versus Coastal Carolina. This right before Christmas. Oh, this is Christmas Eve. Houston versus Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina has not lost a game. Houston football has lost me over $1 billion this year. It's disgusting what they're doing. They want me to suffer. I'll take Coastal Carolina in that matchup. That's a juicy matchup. This is New Year's Eve. Here's a Christmas miracle. It's Santa Claus. He's coming to town, and he's bringing UTSA versus Fresno frickin' State. Yeah, I think UTSA is going to win that game. There's no Christmas Day game. Last year, there was a Christmas Day game. And I said the under would hit in the Christmas, because, the Christmas Day, there's going to be no points scored in games like that. But the 26th, this is the game that's being played at Ford Field, and it would be Wisconsin versus Central Michigan. Oh my God. You got to feel bad for Wisconsin at this point. You really do. I mean, I think Wisconsin would win. Central Michigan playing a home game there at Ford Field, right? If that is the Quick Lane Bowl. MAC versus the Sun Belt. Ohio versus Old Dominion. Old Dominion is a good team. I think Old Dominion wins that game. Toledo versus California. Good to see California possibly making a bowl game. Yes. TCU versus California. Did I say Toledo? TCU, this would be a major downgrade for them, considering they're getting so much hype right now. They are undefeated. But I do agree the Big 12 will completely cannibalize itself. Kansas will lose a lot. TCU will lose a lot. The conference has so much parity, but I like TCU to beat California in that one. South Carolina versus Iowa State. I would pick Iowa State. South Carolina has just not been very good this year. Maybe Spencer Rattler steps up. Illinois versus Oklahoma. How the mighty have fallen. Brett Venables and Oklahoma get Illinois in a bowl game, and I'm picking the Illini. I'm kidding. Now, I mean, maybe Illinois could win that game, but I would pick Oklahoma. Duke versus East Carolina in the Military Bowl. I'll take Duke to win this game 6-3, folks. 6-3. Okay, now we're getting to the better bowls. We've got Kansas taking on A&M. Guys, I do not think Kansas will be in this good of a bowl. I know it's crazy to say they're 5-0. Look at their schedule. It is not easy. They're going to lose a lot. That's my opinion. They're taking on A&M, and I would pick Kansas to win this game. Now, I'd probably pick A&M. That's a fun matchup, man. It's literally polar opposites. You've got A&M spending millions of dollars to try and put together the best roster versus Kansas, a team that's traditionally been one of the worst FBS teams in the past 4 or 5 years. That would be an amazing bowl matchup. Amazing. North Carolina versus Washington. North Carolina is a real fun team. They're really bad that would be a good game. High scoring. Very high scoring. North Carolina, Washington. I would take North Carolina, even though they don't have a defense. Baylor versus Mississippi State. I trust Baylor football in a matchup like that. Miami versus Purdue. This is the Pinstripe Bowl. This is taking place, I believe, at Yankee Stadium. Miami goes to Yankee Stadium. They're going to lose that game to Purdue. Aiden O'Connell will go try hard. The Cheez-It Bowl, Wake Forest versus Texas. I'll take Texas University and Quinn Ewers. That'd be a good game. Quinn Ewers versus Sam Hartman. Kansas State versus UCLA. In the Alamo Bowl, I would go with Kansas State and Deuce Vaughn to beat UCLA. That'd be another fun matchup. Maryland versus Syracuse in the Mayo Bowl. I'd probably go Maryland. I'd probably lean Maryland. I like their offense. I like their talent. The Sun Bowl. Pittsburgh versus Washington State. Gimme Washington State. I think Pittsburgh is a fraud. Notre Dame versus Florida in the Gator Bowl. The Gator Bowl gets Florida, of course. I'll take Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame's underrated, folks. Notre Dame is now... People overreacted to Notre Dame losing to Marshall. Now they're underrated, yes. Miami of Ohio versus Boise State in the Arizona Bowl. I like Miami of Ohio. Boise State's offense is a train wreck. Iowa versus Arkansas in the Music City Bowl. Come on. I mean, it's tough. Iowa, they just can't score. Maybe they can win 3-2. No, they're not going to shut down KJ Jefferson that much. I don't know. Maybe Iowa somehow wins it. You never know with that team. Kentucky versus Florida State. I like Florida State to win that game over Kentucky. I think Kentucky's a little overrated. Minnesota versus Ole Miss. We're getting into the better bowls now. So this would be one of the bigger Big Ten versus SEC matchups. And I would have to give the edge to Ole Miss, especially watching Minnesota. But if they get Mo Ibrahim back, I could very easily see Minnesota football beating Ole Miss with that running back tandem that they have. And now the New Year's Six Bowls, the Orange Bowl, NC State taking on Penn State. I think Penn State would win this game late due to Penn State's true freshman quarterback Drew Aller coming in and throwing a touchdown because Sean Clifford's not good enough. The Sugar Bowl, Tennessee versus Oklahoma State. I would take Tennessee in that matchup. The Rose Bowl, this is January 2nd, Michigan versus Utah. Oh my goodness, what a game this would be. I would probably slightly lean towards Michigan, but I do like Utah a lot. Cincinnati, they have Cincinnati from the group of 5. I don't know. I mean, Cincinnati has a manageable schedule, but I think Cincinnati loses to either UCF or SMU. Cincinnati faces UCF and SMU back-to-back weeks, both on the road. I was looking at their schedule. Maybe James Madison can be the group of 5 representative, but if Cincinnati is the group of 5 representative, I think USC beats them, personally. The Peach Bowl, so this is the playoff semifinal, and guys, people would hate this semifinals, but this is what it's looking like right now. Alabama versus Clemson, and then the Fiesta Bowl, Ohio State versus Georgia. And, I mean, that's possibly the worst case scenario for college football. The one thing people say, it's the same thing every year, and if this is your playoff, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia. Guys, I've said before, I don't think Georgia's making the playoffs. They're going to lose to either Tennessee or Florida in the regular season, and then they're going to lose to Alabama. And Alabama, I'm not so sure on Alabama either. I mean, one of those teams will, definitely from the SEC, but I don't think both. Clemson right now, the ACC, if you guys aren't following, the ACC has turned into a dumpster fire. There's nobody else. I mean, once Clemson beat NC State, there's just nobody in that conference. The problem is we were expecting Miami to take a step, and they've gone backwards. So the ACC is a dumpster fire, and Clemson, maybe they get upset by someone. That they're already past NC State. They're already past Wake Forest. The only tough game they have left is a road game with FSU. And they also have a non-conference game at Notre Dame. But in conference, maybe they could lose to FSU. I don't know. And then Ohio State from the Big Ten, you would say they're 2 tough games at Penn State. That's a big noon game. Late October, Halloween, like right around Halloween. And then the home game versus Michigan, which I think they're going to win. But those would be the 2 tough games for Ohio State. And then they have the national championship. Oh my God, they have Georgia beating Ohio State. Whoever did this is either a clown or they're delusional. If you think Georgia is going to beat Ohio State, they've got an SEC orgy again, Alabama versus Georgia, which is the ultimate worst case scenario for college football. And then people tell me, no, you're just an SEC hater. No, let me tell you, brother. I talk to NFL fans, and they say they're sick of these teams appearing in the big games. They're just sick of them. It's not because I hate the SEC. This is just what they say. This is bad for college football. What we want is more unique teams, especially maybe a team from the West Coast in the playoff. That's what for in terms of the growth of the sport, that would grow college football the best. Like, you get a USC versus Ohio State semifinal, or a USC Alabama, or a Utah something, whatever. That would be ideal for college football. But the most ideal thing would be the 12-team playoff, which is coming hopefully in 2024. But guys, these are just way too early predictions on possible bowl games. Again, I'll probably do this again in 4 weeks. I think Kansas is going to move down significantly. There's going to be other teams. Will Cincinnati be Cincinnati? I've got a lot of respect for Luke Fickell, certainly, but I don't know. I think it'd be more cool if James Madison was the representative. But actually, James Madison can't even make a bowl because it is their first year in conference, so they can't even make one. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.